right. Live. I love how it says 10 seconds, but it was blank screen for however long. All right. Check 1 2 1 2. Okay, everything's good. Get some levels here. Oh, let me try. Logic. Hey, Gary. Welcome. Normally you're not here. Well, let's see. Oh, cancel. Close. All right. Recent. Trying to get my logic to load here. Bruce, was it you that sent me that Beato video? I think I'd already seen it when you sent it to me, the Beato video. The Beato video about replacing the Stairway to Heaven solo. Somebody sent that to me. It may have been you, Bruce. And then he just released it 2 days ago, and then Eddie Van Halen dies yesterday. It was kind of crazy. Beato was freaking out about that yesterday. I saw his live stream. Actually, my friend Kook, the guy that introduced me to Justin Bieber, actually was working with Van Halen on something, I forget. He might have been like working with David Lee Roth when they brought back David Lee Roth to be in the new version, the reboot a few years ago. I remember Kook going to at Henson Studios Henson Studios in Hollywood are really cool. They're on La Brea, and most of the sessions I've done for Justin have been over there. In fact, when I did it's crazy because when I was doing one of the sessions for Justin, Rush was in the room next door. So they were recording their last album in there. And I saw Geddy, but I never saw Neil Peart or who's the guitar player? I'm going to say Alex Lifeson. Is that right? But I saw Geddy, but I think I said hi or something, but other than that, yeah, I wish. Yeah, I'm not an Eddie. I'm not really an Eddie shredder. Eddie came around, so when Van Halen hit was at 77, so I was 16. I was a complete jazz snob at that point. So prior to that, I was totally into Led Zeppelin and maybe a little bit of Clapton, huge Beatles fan. But Eddie I totally got into because it was so amazing, and I did buy the records. But there are, it didn't take long before there were guys that were already imitating Eddie so well that I was like, yeah, I can't do it. It's like I get people sending me videos all the time. Hey, check out this kid that's playing the guitar and doing the two hands. And it's like, I'm not even going to bother because there's already 1,000 people that can do that. And I'm trying to make a living. So I'm trying to do things that maybe people can't do, which is a little bit of everything. But what is weird is I was working on. So I've got a session on Friday, and let's see, what was it? Was it here that I was going to do? I think Capo Third. I have a session on Friday, and it's for a video game, and the game company wants to come out and videotape the. It's really lame, but they want to videotape the session. It's like, sessions can be kind of boring, and they're welcome to tape them, but we're not performing. We're recording. We're not lip syncing. We're recording. We're actually working. So I don't know. It's pretty silly. And in fact, they even said, "Oh, you have to go get a COVID test." And I told them I'm not going to. They said the video company said this, and I'm like, the studio didn't. The other musicians, they don't care. It's like, and the video company's insisting that we get COVID tests, and I told them I wouldn't. And or that maybe I try, because I'm busy today and I'm busy tomorrow. I'm actually doing a video shoot tomorrow with a bunch of young people. It's so funny. One of the artists that I wrote with. I think I already had it, but, I've never had the test to prove it. But I'm just like, I don't have time. Plus, the results probably wouldn't come in time for Friday. And so, and the other thing is, I'm the only one that could do this session. So, I mean, they could hire somebody else, but they probably not in such short notice. And so I'm probably going to be in my own ISO booth, which is fine. And I'll have to wear a mask, which is also fine. We'll see. I don't even know what the other musicians said, but I don't know what the game is. I have no idea what the game is. It's too short, like 1 minute. It's almost like, one of those kind of, shredder. It's supposed to be like a shredder thing, which is funny because I'm sure the game company's expecting some young rock, some like 22-year-old version of Eddie Van Halen. The thing is, those guys that can do that kind of stuff. I'm sorry, I'm touching my eyes itching. Those guys that can do that kind of stuff, they can't read music. So they can't just hire that guy, and it would take them 2 days to do this session of 2 songs. They'd have to learn everything, and it would just take forever. So I can sight read this stuff, so it's not that big a deal. Hey. But the crazy thing is that one of the passages of the song was a 2-handed tapping thing. It was like something like... no, wait. Something like that. So I've been kind of working on it. That's the transition point where I got to practice. So, and it's just funny because I was doing this yesterday. I'm working on its whole Eddie Van Halen type stuff. And I get a text from a friend, and it was a link for the TMZ story that Eddie Van Halen died. It was like, I hadn't done 2-handed tapping stuff in years. And in fact, I was even getting a callus on my finger working on it, or a blister on my finger for working on it. So that was crazy. Now, that said, even though Eddie wasn't a big influence on my playing and early on, I know a lot of great guitar players that were hugely influenced by Eddie, and that was kind of their intro to guitar. He definitely was what you would call a guitar god. I think Clapton was probably the original guitar god, but Eddie definitely was one of the biggest. And the funny thing is, though, I always use Eddie not as an example of soloing necessarily. His solos are amazing. Yeah, I'll change that. Thanks, Bruce. It won't let me change it anymore when I load the. But I always use Eddie as a great example of rhythm playing. I don't know how many of you have ever played in a power trio, but I've played in a couple different power trios, maybe 3 different power trios. It is very hard, and it's very hard not just to go, every song just like this. He never, I don't know that Eddie ever played like a power chord for an entire bar ever. He was always playing, he may hit a. He may do some stuff like that, but he would basically be playing, rhythm. His rhythm chops were just unbelievable. They were really fun rhythm parts. They really filled it out. They had drums and bass, and then you got the guitar, and he would fill things out just with the 3 of them. He would fill out the bass, Michael, and then his son eventually, which is awesome that he got to play with his son. His son was the one where everybody found out about his dad dying was when Wolfie posted. I actually have friends that know Valerie and Wolfie, because their daughter went to the same school as Wolfie. So they became friends through that private school. And the other thing is, when I moved to LA in '83, I moved to Pasadena. I lived in Pasadena until last year, until 2019. So from 1983 to 2019, I lived in Pasadena, and you couldn't, for years and years and years, you would go to somewhere, if someone found out you played guitar, they'd say, "Oh, I know Eddie Van Halen," or "Eddie played at my birthday party," and, or I used to go to their garage band rehearsals. I mean, it's just so many people in Pasadena, Sierra Madre, and Arcadia all knew Eddie and Alex and Michael and David Lee Roth. David Lee Roth's dad was a dentist in Arcadia, which is a city just right next to Pasadena. I had a lot of students from Arcadia. So it was hard to avoid hearing his name. In fact, at one point, I think he had a house in Bradbury, which is kind of north of Monrovia, up in the mountains. And I think that may be where his 5150 studio was. So I think, I'm not sure where he lived towards the end, but I'm pretty sure that a lot of his life he spent close to his family in Pasadena area. I think he was born in Holland, technically, but he was raised in Pasadena. So, yep. A lot of people saw Van Halen play in yard parties. I actually did a gig at a bar in Sierra Madre with I was in a different band, but there was the band warming us up was a Van Halen cover band, and the guy was a friend of mine. He was really, really good at Van Halen. He could nail it. And so, Ice Coffee's in the house. Let me give some shout outs. Peroni, good to see you. Bob Schumann. Gary, I already said hey. Let's see. Bruce, thank you for being here. Good to have a moderator. John. I wish I could play. It's I had a running joke. Hey, everybody, back. Bonjour. Alex Lifeson. I was right. Okay. Let's see. May Eddie shred in peace. Yes. I hope he's with the Lord. It's interesting. Some of the people that, let's see. Okay, no, I don't know. Okay, hey, Leo. Sorry, just trying to get out. David Sillers is in the house. Bimo, good to see you again. Can you give us a short solo of The Messiah Will Come Again? Gary, I don't know. First off, I don't know what Gary Moore would be like, style would be like offhand. And I don't know The Messiah Will Come Again. I don't know that song. Is that a hymn? Oh, thanks, Tristan. Trying to learn those chords. I still want to do a video for that. We're going to talk about this here. I can talk. Actually, we've got 20. I was going to kind of wait until a little more people here. and we got quite a good show. So I'm not sure how much longer I'm going to do the live streams. I'm not upset with YouTube. Well, maybe a little upset with YouTube, but I'm really ticked off at these fake publishing companies that register. Like, I think what they're doing is basically creating, like having robots create songs just randomly, right? Melodies, songs, and then registering them. So they could literally probably create 1 million songs in an hour and register 1 million songs in an hour, okay? This one company in Germany, 2 of my last 3 videos, where I'm literally showing you just soloing, talking about soloing, playing the 3rd of a chord or the 5th of a chord. 2 of them got flagged and got set up for shared royalties. And you know, I don't mind sharing royalties with someone who deserves it, but I'm not going to share royalties with somebody who doesn't. So I contested both. The problem is I've contested this in the past and I've always won. If I lose 3 of these, so if I lose these 2, then I'm only allowed a 3rd. And if I do a 3rd and I lose it, they take down my channel completely. So all my subscribers, all that stuff goes away immediately. So that I don't particularly want to do. But I also don't want to share royalties with someone who doesn't deserve it. If Tristan, if you're still there, if I end up doing a lesson on how to play ETA, I even though I wrote the song or wrote the part that I'm showing, I can't monetize it. They won't let me. So that's fine. I don't even try to monetize it. And you know, I don't make any money on it. I make money on the song, so if people buy the song, or if they listen to the song on Spotify and stuff like that, I make money there. But it would drive more people to my channel, so it generates revenue. But I got this German company, so I went to their website, I looked them up, and they're like bragging about having 83 million videos monetized on YouTube. 83 million videos. I guarantee you that they don't represent enough writers to generate 83 million videos. That means they would have to have 1 million writers write 83 songs, or they'd have to have 83 writers write 1 million songs. What they're doing is they're basically sending bots out to anything that sounds like a melody of theirs, they're claiming. And it's all probably done automatically. I don't think this is done by a human doing this, going through and watching. Nobody watched my video yesterday, but yesterday's video got flagged. And the video 3 days ago, and I'm sounding a lot like Rick Beato here, but so I'm tempted to try to get together a bunch of YouTube creators and see if they're having similar problems, and then see if we can do some kind of class action suit to stop it. Again, I don't mind giving royalties to someone that deserves it, but I am certainly not going to. And so like I said, I contested those 2. I probably will win those. I made my argument. I made an argument on one. On the other one, I just said, I'm tired of these companies coming in here and trying to do this. So I was more making an argument against the company claiming, literally, the section that they claimed was their song was, I was playing, and now I'm even hesitant to do it, but I was playing over this, and I was teaching you how to play the root of each of these chords. We were just playing the roots, and they claimed that melody was one of their songs, and it was something like "Let's have fun together" or something. Like, that's not. It's ridiculous. That kind of stuff just really ticks me off, and so I don't even know what percentage they're getting of the song. It didn't tell me that kind of thing. I didn't, they might be getting 90% of my royalty, and I'm like, that's ridiculous. If they're getting 1%, or they're getting, because it was a 40-second snippet on a 2-hour and 11-minute video. If it happens again, I'm going to stop doing the live stream. Particularly if I'm going to stop doing lesson like soloing, anything where I'm improvising, because I'm going to run into trouble with that. And I'll concentrate more on just doing videos and uploading, which I haven't been doing very much. So Rick Beato He has, and Rick Beato has products that he can sell. That's how he makes money. So he, yeah, so Rick Beato has products. Plus, he does get to monetize some of his videos, but most of his videos are not. He's not allowed to monetize. But just so you know, like if he has 100,000 spins on a video, that's about $350. Well, he did yesterday. He did a talking about Eddie Van Halen. He had 400,000 videos on that, or 400,000 views on that one video yesterday alone. And so he's looking at that. He made $1,400 just for talking for 15 minutes, and then that'll probably hit 1 million views by the end of the week. So that'll be maybe $3,500. And because he won't have to share monetization on. So. Yeah. Yeah, Gary, exactly. It's exactly kind of the same thing. Yeah, I know. I've talked to Rick Beato once. I wish I could had his phone number or something. I could talk about it. Yeah, Etsy people saying they invented crochet. Yeah, it's just ridiculous. Yeah, I'm not gonna. Let's just say this. If I lose these two contests, I will take down those videos because I'm not going to give them royalties. I'll just take down the videos. I'm not giving them money for my work, that I'm fine with. But then I won't be able to contest any others because then if I lose it, so I probably won't ever contest another one. Yeah, I will email him, and I will because we talked about some things. I think he doesn't know who I am necessarily. No. Sorry, I'm just trying to work on this thing for my session on Friday. I'll probably take it home and do it as homework. I know that and I actually yesterday ordered one of those string cover things. I could do it a million different ways, but I'm actually going to get an official one. So that I can do, without having to open strings ring out. A lot of guitar players will do that. That's another thing. Eddie, I always use Eddie Van Halen as an example of someone who can tame a guitar. Because when you play as loud as Eddie Van Halen plays, every string rings out. See if Beth, I got to text my wife. He plays so loud, and yet his sound is so clean. I have the hardest time when I'm playing, rock stuff, not having notes ring out that I don't want to ring out. Sorry. All right. And because one of the things, one of my tips, in fact, I probably said it in the video. I did a video on how to play better live, and one of the keys is to practice loud. I mean, if your gig is going to be loud, you need to practice loud because so often, I can't tell you how many times as a kid when I was practicing in my room, I'd practice quiet. I know that sounds like it's loud, but it's not really very loud. It's just a bunch of gain on an amp. It's just a bunch of gain on an amp, and it's not very loud. I can turn it down even more. It still sounds like it's a really loud amp. But I would practice quiet at home, and I get to the gig, and of course you got drums and you got horns. In that band, I had a horn section, and bass and another guitar player and keyboard player. I mean, it was a loud band. We had monitors. We had side fills. It was freaking loud. I had to crank my amp up, and I wouldn't play as good. I'd be so intimidated by my volume, or I couldn't play loud enough. I couldn't hear myself that that I would just get flustered. I wouldn't play as well as I played so much better in my bedroom than I did at the gig. I practiced this solo 1,000 times and I screwed it up at the gig. Well, there's a lot of things you're dealing with. Nerves. Chances are, if you're practicing at home, you're sitting down. You need to stand up. If you're going to stand up at the gig, you got to stand up, and you got to practice loud. And those are the three biggies right there. And it's really hard to deal with a nerves thing. One of the things you can do is just not look at the audience, not close your eyes. A lot of players close their eyes. A lot of musicians, a lot of people that their job is in front of other people. They have horrible stage fright, but they deal with it. So, hey, T, what's going on? Let's see. Okay. Yeah, well, that's what's happened in me, Vito. I just literally was playing, I think, the fifth of each one of those chords. Of the A minor, I was playing the E, right? So I was trying to E, and then we did C, and then we did G, and then we did D. And it's whole notes. You can't freaking copyright that. I mean, technically, it's about as good example of fair use as you can get. Now, I disagree that fair use allows you to do videos on YouTube because you're broadcasting. Fair use does not cover broadcasting. Fair use only covers the classroom or private lessons. But I'm actually teaching, and I'm using theory, and I'm not teaching a melody to anything. That as far as I know, you can't just yes, yeah, and I'm of course most of my income is derived from copyrights, and keep that in mind. So I'm not opposed to copyrights, but patents like the Pantone thing stuff, yeah, that's pretty ridiculous. There are definitely issues, but I mean, if I didn't get paid on the back end for a lot of the work I did, I probably wouldn't be able to do it. I'd be doing something else. I'd be a gardener. Yeah. Good. Yeah. That's a Vito. I think that may be a slide from. That may be a diagram from that lesson. So let's see. What's up, dude? Tazala. Michael Neal. I know, Dennis, it was my weak attempt at a joke. Oh. Tell that to my neighbor. Loud is great, yeah. Let's see. But here's the reason. Earphones, playing with headphones, everything, that doesn't do the same thing. And you're going to damage your ears, too. I mean, if you play too loud all the time, it's going to damage your ears eventually. But the thing is, playing through earphones, the reason you play loud is because if I turn this up really loud, okay, I got gates on, so it's not going to do it, but if I turn the gates off, these strings would all start ringing out, they'd be making noise, they'd be feeding back, and that's what happens at the gig. You're like trying to play and your guitar's feeding back, okay? I remember Ted Nugent, though, he did this thing for, Ted Nugent played with a hollow body Birdland, right? And he filled it full of cotton. So it would be less likely to feed back. But here's a loud guitar player that's playing with a hollow body guitar, which is, I've done it, and they just vibrate and they feed back like crazy. He would actually go sound check. He would find spots on the stage where certain notes resonated, and he would mark those spots. Like here, this is C note. The C note resonates really well here, and will ring forever. And then a D over here, his stage would be marked up A, B, C, D, G, all over. And those are spots he would stand if he wanted a note to sustain. That was Ted Nugent. I thought that was pretty funny. So let's see. But that said, I usually would jam loud in my home growing up as a kid when no one was home. My mom was at work. My sister was at school. I would be cranking it. And what was hilarious is my sister would stand at the bottom of the stairs and wait for me to stop for a second and say, "Shut up!" I'm sure she has very vivid memories. Her memory of that situation probably very different. She walks in the house and she can hear me just wailing, and she's standing there for a minute, 2 minutes, waiting for me to stop so she can yell at me to shut up. But she wouldn't come upstairs because it was probably too loud. Oh yeah, Napster was awful, John. No. There's a lot more money, now that record labels are making money. The record labels are making money again because of streaming. I make money from streaming. Most of my royalties come from Discovery Network, and they want to stop paying royalties altogether. They threatened to do that at the end of last year. And the company that I write for, they actually own the production. They own the videos. So they would have taken all their videos off of all their shows off of Netflix, which they have a lot of. I mean, off of Discovery, and they have a lot of them. And so. I'll show you an Eddie lick. I learned this lick. I thought it was really, really cool. And this is a trick you can do with any pentatonic shape, but it particularly works really well with pentatonic number 1. So if you look at that, there, you can play, if at the 5th fret you're playing pentatonic 1, you can play all of the notes at the 4th fret. They're all leading tones for the notes at the 5th fret. And Eddie would do. So it's just that up an octave. So I'm playing 16, 17, 20 on the 2nd string, 16, 17, 20 on the 1st string. It kind of has a blues feel. Like it's kind of like you're going. That blues note there. Those chromatic movements can be very bluesy. You could do it this way too, but this way you get 3 notes per string. You can get nice. Once you get it down, you can kind of get a nice flurry going. No, that's why we're talking about him, Vito. Hey, Zach, you're on. I didn't see Zach on. Oh, hey, Zach. The Strahle. Yeah, we could do an Eddie Van Halen lesson. I'm not an aficionado. I really wish I was. I know Alex, my son, played in a band called the Savannah Van Band, and the other guitar player, Nico, he could play pretty much any. He played all of the Van Halen hits. He knew all of them. I mean, I remember this one. I love, and this was just such a great vibe. Yeah, let's see. Too much to look. That was it. Oh man, I used to know it. Such a great vibe, and it's like I never knew Eddie to play with his fingers, like that. It's just like wow, It was like, that's Eddie Van Halen. When I first heard that song, I was like, that's not Eddie. It totally was. Here's another thing too with TMZ. In their reporting their story, Eddie was a chain smoker his whole life. I mean, he smoked a ton. He smoked on stage. He had cigarettes. He would make a joke about smoking while he was playing and all that. And it's fun. The thing is, my friend Rick Bennick died. He was probably almost the same age, 60, maybe 67. He died. He was a heavy smoker too. He died of I think leukemia in Indianapolis. But TMZ said the throat cancer was caused by him holding metal picks in his mouth. Now I'm not aware of him actually using. Oh yeah, no, Zach. I tell people ignore his lead playing. I mean, his lead playing is astonishing, but it's so copied now. All these other people can do crazy stuff like that. It was his rhythm playing that was like the pocket in his rhythm playing, and the fact that being in a power trio is really hard. I don't know, Zach, if you've ever been in a power trio, it's really hard as a guitar player. And the temptation, like I was saying earlier, is temptation is just like, just to play power chords and Eddie would never do that. He always had, it was his rhythm playing was almost more like solo, like a kind of a laid back guitar solo in some ways. Where to start slide, John? Let's see, Tom. When you slide up and down the fretboard as you move to different parts of a solo, how do you know where to make or begin to slide? Just pick one tone in the key, and you can Zach's a very, very good guitar player. Zach, you're in Chicago still, right? You're thinking about moving out here. Be glad you didn't. With the COVID hit, all the guitar players in LA were just like not working. It's been brutal. In fact, I just was talking to a friend who's a music director for a major artist. Had a worldwide 18-month tour planned, and that got canceled. And he's just like, "Hey, what's up, man?" And I could kind of tell he's like, "Hey, if you got an opening at church, let me know," kind of thing. It's like, and he's the music director. In fact, I was even sending him. We were writing together for this artist. I don't want to say who it is, but as far as sliding. Sliding, whatever note you start on, whatever note you end on, that's no different than playing two notes in a melody. So if I'm playing like, now watch me get a copyright infringement for that one. See, this is what's driving me crazy with YouTube right now. You could play that. You could play that same melody that way. There's a million ways. In fact, I've got a video I want to do. That's actually a video I should work on and do soon. 50 ways to play the same note on the guitar, because guitar is such an amazing instrument. And I've got 47 ways figured out. I need 3 more ways. So I guess I could do play with your teeth. I don't think I thought of that one. But I was going to say, TMZ said that Eddie played with a metal pick, and that's why he got throat cancer, because he put it in his mouth and played guitar like this. And I'm like, A, I don't know that Eddie played with a metal pick. Does anyone know that? I've never heard that. I mean, I don't know anybody who plays with a metal pick. Maybe one or two guys, but because braces are made out of metal. So then why doesn't every kid who's had braces get throat cancer? because I had braces on my mouth forever. I think 3 years or something. Felt, when you're 12 or 13, it feels like forever. Oh, Eddie said that. Oh, well, Eddie doesn't know that. He smoked nonstop. My dad died of throat cancer, and he was a nonstop smoker. So he quit smoking 5 years before he died, but he got both throat cancer and salivary gland cancer. He had a cancer in his salivary gland, and that was causing brain seizures because it was cutting off the blood to his. I have not. Zach, the Oxbox. I know the guy that invented that. James Santiago is a very good friend of mine. His wife Sheila plays sax at our church in Keys, and so I could probably get one. I don't think I can get one for free, but I could probably get one. I think initially they were just like barely keeping up with orders. I mean, I don't ever use my amps. I'm just always using direct, But, if you're doing more records, I could see where it'd be more. I'm doing more like TV shows, games, and movies. And I've always said tone is a little bit less critical. The tone guys are the guys that get all the record dates. So, like, my son Alex is a tone guy. He's really into, I don't know if he knows the difference between. Well, he knows the difference between 6L6s and EL34s, that kind of thing. But biasing. He's not into biasing tubes yet or anything like that. But he's very into the amp. He has amps made for him, custom amps. So there is that. I was jamming with Alex the other day on my YouTube channel, and I think I fried my 60s Marshall again. It started to crap out. I'm like, dang it. So, and I wasn't even going through any kind of attenuator. That's what makes me, because I blew out my Marshall, my vintage Marshall, with an attenuator. And that's kind of what an aux does. So I've always been kind of afraid of them. And then it's just a lot of cables and running things through. And I'm like, to say I have a favorite amp, I don't think I have a favorite amp. I mean, you're talking to a guy who's used a Lexicon rig for his live gigs since the 90s. So if you're really, really into amps, then maybe check it out. They're not cheap though, right? I mean, what's I'm sure James is bummed today because he's really into Eddie. In fact, he's really good at getting Eddie tone. Yeah, I think Eddie may have wanted just to not give up smoking. Oh, okay, so he did use metal picks. That's interesting. I mean, that does kind of, some of his tone is very... Maybe if you go in out the front door, they might be. Yeah, no, Bruce, I've been answering that. Yeah, the Oxbox. Like I said, it was designed by my friend James Santiago. And I mean, my favorite, Zach, I mean, what are they, about $2,000, something like that? You might, I mean, you've got some pretty cool gigs. You might be able to get some kind of endorsement deal. Especially if you do more videos on your Instagram. You just never know. I mean, I see guys' videos, they have 2 of them back there. It's crazy. I'm like, oh, man. It does sound amazing, though. I mean, I've heard it like at the NAMM show and stuff like that. It was pretty sick. So, yeah, just check it out, Oh, $1,300. Okay, well, that's not too bad. For some reason, I thought they were around $2,000. Maybe when he was developing it, he was saying, yeah, they're probably going to be going for $2,000. I'm like, oh, no, I remember 13 is right. 13 is right. 1,300. Even that, I felt like, wow, that's really expensive for an attenuator, essentially. But it comes with software, and it comes with, room and all that stuff. So you can really create, although Alex has hit me to Amplitude, and keep in mind, Alex, my son is a tone guy. And he got into Amplitude, and it's really cool because you can set up mics all over the room, and you can choose different mics, and you can put them anywhere. You can choose what the room's made of, how big the room is, all that stuff. I mean, a lot of software does that anyway, but and the Oxbox does that as well. So it comes with software. So the Captor, which does a similar thing for around $300 to $400. Yeah. Yeah, Zach, what have you been doing during COVID? Because I've been doing this. Although my days doing this may end if I get another takedown. And I'm sorry we haven't talked about soloing at all. If I get another takedown notice, or not a takedown notice, but a copyright infringement notice from one of these bogus publishing companies, I mean, it really, really ticked me off. Let me pull it up. I'll post the website so you guys can see. Okay, so so it says video received copyright claim. A copyright owner claimed some content on your video. Lesson number 119, soloing. Okay, and I have 2 of them here. I'm like, and then lesson 117. So 2 out of the last 3. It says this is not a copyright strike, and both of them say this is not a copyright strike. So, so if I go to the video, I click on it. Let's see, 119, right? If I click on it, under monetization, it has, it's view copyright claim details. It says not affected. The ID content on your doesn't affect your channel, but everybody can see it. Okay, Sit Down and Laugh is the name of the song. I looked it up. There's no song called. It's for 54 seconds, and it's Muserk Rights. I think it's a German company. MUSERK Rights Management. So I go to Google. I Google that, and here they are, Muserk, and it says collect more royalties. Global rights management for music and video. And you scroll down their homepage, and they're bragging, technology driven. Well, that's clear. Worldwide reach. Well, that's also clear. Any media type, also clear. 3 million assets managed, okay? Now, that may mean that they have a catalog of 3 million. That makes sense. 89 million videos claimed. In other words, they just claimed mine. Totally bogus. I didn't play their song. 34 billion monetized interactions, which means 34 billion spins. Years of content monetized. 172,000 years of content monetized. But that's just BS on their part. So and the crazy thing, I don't know if you're still there, Zach, but the crazy thing was, oh good, I'm so glad. I'm glad you're working, Zach. The crazy thing is I was literally teaching you how to play the 5th of each of these chords. That's all I was doing. And I was like, are you kidding me? You're going to copyright that? That's not copyrightable. So, and what we were talking about was so like, for example, let me play an E over each one of these chords. Okay? And this is back to the soloing lesson now. Finally. What is it, an hour in now? So, if I play an E, the E is the 5th of the A chord. It's the 7th of the F chord, the 3rd of the C chord, and the 6th of the G chord. Sounds good? Ooh, that sounds sexy. Okay, that sounds resolved. That sounds tense. Okay? And it's a great exercise. Just to learn what one note. If you learn what that note sounds like over each one of those chords, then you can, if you want to create each one of those different moods, every one of those was a mood. A 5th, and then that's a sexy one. That's kind of resolved. And then tension. Okay? Okay, let's try the G. So the G over the A minor is going to be the 7th. The G over the F is going to be the 2nd. So that's going to sound kind of like tension, a suspension. The G over the C is going to be the 5th. So that's going to sound like fairly in the pocket, okay? It's going to be inside. That's going to be about as inside as you can get. And then it's going to be even more inside over the G chord because that's the root of the G chords. Here's G. Okay, we're on G now. Here's the A minor. 3. This is going to be one of the weird ones. But that's nice though, right? That's also nice. Okay, now that sounds like home. And this sounds really like home. And I always tell you, you can go up or down 1 or 2 frets and find a note that if it doesn't work, it's going to work. Like if there's tension that you want to resolve, move your note up a fret or 2 or down a fret or 2 and you'll find. You should be able to have 2 notes. Like I could go down for F. Okay, the A is the root of the A, the 3rd of the F, the 6th of the C. That's tense. And the 6th of the G is tense. So if you think of this progression as being an A minor or A minor pentatonic, you're likely to land on a lot of A's, and that's going to create some tension over the two of the 4 chords. So that's why you wouldn't want to necessarily think of this as in the key of A minor, this chord progression, even though it starts on an A minor. Play it like Eddie. Okay, let's see. What other notes can we play? The B, we already did the B. The B sounds interesting. We could do the F. The F is going to create a lot of tension because the F is only going to really work over the F chord. Listen to this. Okay, we're going to start with the F chord, right over the A minor. That's going to be the flat 6. Woo! But here it's going to sound okay. You can't get any more in the pocket than playing the root. See, that wants to go down. The F wants to go up to the G. But if I'm just playing Fs. Now let me justify a little bit. Don't really do that. Like I said, it's not my thing. I wish it was. It's hard to do that stuff, man. All right, I'm just showing off. But I do really recommend. Again, we're talking about soloing. I want to do a video on all the forks that are in the road of soloing. And Zach, you'll know what I'm talking about when I start to mention them. But like, are you going to write a solo for this song, or are you going to improvise a solo? That's a fork. Another fork is, are you going to think about the overarching key only, or are you going to play over each individual chord? Are you going to play over each individual chord, or are you going to play over the chord changes? So, for example, I could do over A minor, over F, over C, G, right? And that's playing over each individual chord. Or I could play over the change, which actually, for me, is a little bit more fun. So what you do is you start maybe halfway through the bar and you play an A minor lick that morphs into an F lick, okay? And that way you point out the difference. Where is the difference between A minor and F? Well, A minor is ACE, F is FAC. And so the only difference between that is F doesn't have an E, and the A minor doesn't have an F. So that moment right there is your change. So I could do a lick that's like, something like that, where I'm pointing out that moment that's between the two. It's the opposite moment going from the C or the F to the C. You've got an F. And see there, you can hear the chord change from F to C. And then from the C to G, same thing. You play the C over the C chord and then go that. So, okay, let me play over this chord progression without the well, I mean, I wonder. That's a good question, Dennis. Everybody struggles with bar chords, and once you get them, but with rock, I don't play a lot of bar chords per se. I play power chords more. So that's not. I'm not doing bars. Those aren't bar. I mean, I'm laying my finger across the strings, but only to deaden them. So no, if you're going to be a salt rock guy, you don't really. I don't know how often you need to play bar chords. But I wonder if that maybe is why Eddie developed his rhythm playing, because maybe he didn't. Were his hands kind of small? I know Andy Summers' hands were small. I know Angus Young's hands were small. Angus Young is a great rhythm player. Oh my gosh, or a great lead player. And Malcolm was freaking beast on rhythm guitar. But as far as rhythm guitar lines, I love Eddie Van Halen's lines. He was a small guy. I figured he was. He looked like a small guy. So I'm assuming his hands were pretty small. So he might not have been able to bar chords. That's why. He did develop techniques that didn't require bar, and it created an entire style that if he'd had bigger hands, he might not be famous. Isn't that funny to think? If he could play bar chords, he might have just been in a cover band and never gone anywhere. But instead, he had to create. I was like, well, I can't play this song, I can't play that song, but I can do this, and let's write over that. Okay, cool. It didn't hurt that his brother played drums. Okay, so I'm going to play a little bit. I'm using this chord progression. See if you can hear when the chords change. Okay, I'm going to try. I'm soloing. I'm not playing rhythm. I'm going to try to imply the chord change in my soloing. Okay. I'll start with one note though to get me started. Can you hear the chords going by? I mean, I have a pattern, I'm basically trying, about that tempo there. Every four beats, I'm changing chords. Yeah, I'm sure. I know Eddie practiced a lot. Oh, yeah, that's right. His guitar part on Ice Cream Man is pretty wide. Yeah. But, Ice Cream Man, that was pretty early, though, wasn't it? That was David Lee Roth era. But, I've showed you this, how much wider my left hand is than my right hand. And all of you regular full-time players can do this. Spread your fingers out as far as you can go. Touch your first fingers together like this. And notice how much further you can reach with your left hand. Okay? That's because you've been playing like this. So you can definitely increase your reach as a guitar player by doing. In fact, I've got an I'm going to do. Remember the warm up with Tom? I'm going to do this one next. Probably you're going to make a lot, but the warm up exercises aren't supposed to be easy. They're going to be varying degrees. The first two that I posted, warm up with Tom, 1 and 2 are easy ones that we've done before here, but I've got harder ones. I've got my, finger independence exercise. Those things, I get a lot of hate mail for those. So, and I don't blame you. It bends on your, yeah, I've seen some people with that, and that definitely would restrict how far you could reach. But it'll definitely, you can, that extension is happening with every gap between fingers. So in other words, my reach with my first and second is wider than here, and my second and third is wider, and my third and fourth are wider. So that extension is spread out among all four fingers, really. So so it didn't just come from one, like here in between the third and fourth finger. It looks like it, but that's not. I know, like Eddie, like seconds. Oh, hey, Jordan. Jordan's new. Teach you how to tune your guitar. Oh, man. Well, I mean, I've been using tuners for so long. There's a lot of ways to tune a guitar. Let me get a cleaner tone here. Let's see. A lot of different ways to tune your guitar. Kind of a clean tone. I mean, the easiest way to tune your guitar is to get a tuner. And you can get a tuner for $3 or $4, I think, on Amazon. So it's not particularly, hey, Franco. It's not particularly expensive to get a tuner. This one was probably $18, $19. I think this Fender one was $6 or $7. I got a lot of tuners there. I got a little baby one. I don't like this one. This is a Planet Waves one. I think this one was expensive, and I hate it. It's really hard to change the battery on it. You can't see it. I mean, seriously? I mean, it's like, really? Just not, I don't know who thought of it, but they were wrong. But let's say you don't have a tuner, or you just have a tuning fork. It seems like at one point I had a pitchfork. But let's say you can get that low E. We can get the low E in tune. Okay, let's say we got a tuning. I mean, there's a lot of ways you can have a piano, if you have a piano handy. Now, the way that everybody learns at first is you've got 6 strings, E, A, D, G, B, E, as I say, eat at Denny's, get bad eggs. And most people, what they'll do is they'll go to the 5th fret of the 6th string, and then hit the A. That's the A note, which is the next string, and try to make those match. If it's, see, your ear is going to have to tell you, and that's where it's a little troublesome. Are you sharp? Are you flat? A lot of people will tune it down and then bring it up. And some people will go overhand like this, so that they can keep the 2 notes ringing out. Does that make sense? I gotta move my chair over a little bit. There we go. Okay. So, okay, and you do the same thing. and a lot of people will tune down a little bit and then go up into it. You have to be careful. If your ear is not very good, if you're tone deaf, you probably won't be able to tune this way, and you might keep turning it, thinking, oh, it's eventually going to sound the same, and you'll break the string. That happens to me, not to me, but it happens to people all the time. So that's not unusual. Yes. So tuning up to pitch, get below it, and get up to it is good. Now, but the other thing is, if you go above it, you go down below it and then to it. Is good too, because you're stretching the string out a little bit, especially if they're brand new strings. I might do that, but I won't do that on the G string with the 12 string. That I won't do. Okay, and then you go to the 5th fret of the D string and do the G string. Okay, and that I'm fine right now. But, okay, the only one that's weird is when you're on the 3rd string, the G string, and I'm counting 3rd from the bottom, 1, 2, 3s. So if you're playing electric guitar, it's the first unwound string. Then you go to the 4th fret. Okay, and play open B string, and then go to the 5th fret again of the B string to get the top string. Wait, what are you tripping about, Zach? I missed that. Wait. You never noticed that, Zach? That's funny. I love that. The stretch, yeah, that's hilarious. Yeah, it's cool. I've been showing that at clinics all the time when people say, "Oh, my hands are small." I said, "Your hand's going to get bigger." Not only that, your fingers will get longer too. Believe it or not. So if you match up the bottom of your hand like this, the bottom of your palms like this, and go like this, I've got, I would say, 2 or 3 millimeters more length on my left hand than my right. And I'm right-handed, and generally they say if you're right-handed, your right hand's bigger than your left. And if you're left-handed, you're bigger. I don't know if that's true or not. But if that's true, then technically my left hand has overtaken my right. And I've got about 2 or 3 centimeters, or millimeters, sorry, not centimeters. That would be really weird. Let's see. Okay, no, and so that's one way to tune. All right. There's another way. People will sometimes use the harmonics at the 5th fret and the 7th fret. So I hit the harmonic, which is basically the way you do that is you put your finger on the string right above the fret, but do not push down, and then pluck it, and then take your hand away, and it should ring out. And then you do the same thing on the 7th fret of the 5th string, and those should be the same. And you can hear a vibration if they're not. It'll vibrate. So the more out of tune you are, the faster it'll vibrate. Any of us who played in a band, we know that you can make the snare vibrate. How many times have we used the snare as our judge? But see, the problem with this is it's contradicting. It's saying I'm out of tune. Now you could technically do 4 and 4, but I don't think it's going to be in tune. And then do 4 and 5, 5 and 7 here. See, it's not in tune that way. So I don't necessarily trust that way. The way that I do a lot when I'm playing acoustic, and I can show you that. My classical guitar teacher showed me this, and I do this particularly when we were playing in open position, because a guitar is not a perfect instrument. Actually, the fret spacing on the guitar was set by I think it was a Danish mathematician his last name was, I think it was Frederick Strahle, actually. Same last name as me. So I'll tune octaves. Okay, so you get this E and this E. So I'm on the open E string and the 2nd fret, 4th string. And then I'll tune the E, and then I'll go 3rd fret, hit the G, and hit the open G string. Okay? So now I know my G string's in tune with octave from my low G. So now I'm going to tune the A string to the G string. So I'm playing the second fret on the G string, creating an A note. And I might. But you have to have the ability to hear octaves. And I go to the second fret of the A string and tune my B string. Okay. Now I'm going to just check the Ds. Maybe make a slight adjustment to the D. So I'm going from this note here, the third fret of the second string D. I'm tuning the low D. But I already tuned the low D when I did this, right? But now it's an open string. And then I'm going for the high E string, so I'm going to play E on the D string. And you get pretty darn good in tune open chords. So that is when I'm just doing octaves. Yes, if your low E is not in tune, you're going to carry out the error all the way through. Exactly right. I mean, and like I said, the easiest solution to all of this is just to go ahead and get a tuner. Tuners are not that expensive, and you can pretty much trust them. I've had somebody hand me a completely out of tune guitar, and I just tuned it thinking I was in the right, key. I don't know if anyone's ever done this. Hey, Sebastian. I tuned it and found that I was about a half step flat. I tend to, if I'm starting from scratch, I generally tend to hear that as an E. I don't know why, but I hear the E flat as an E. I don't have perfect pitch. If you have perfect pitch, you could tune without a tuner. I actually know several people with perfect pitch, and it's not necessarily a blessing. So I'm kind of glad I don't have it. And perfect pitch is much more common in Europe, particularly among older people. If they're not teaching music classes anymore in Europe, or if they're not making it hard. See, back in the day, teachers weren't afraid to make class hard and give Fs. So I don't know, in America that seems to be going away. But I don't know what it's like in Europe. But here's the thing. In Europe, when they learn music, like if they take music in school, whether it be grade school, they often would do music in grade school. They would do what's called solfege. And solfege is when you do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Now, I was a half step off. In America, we have what's called movable do. So if we're in the key of G, G is do. If we're in the key of C, C is do. If you're in the key of F, F is do. That's called movable do. So no matter where you start, if I start do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. I'm on D, do, re, mi, fa, si, right? That's called movable do. In Europe, they don't do that. In Europe, they do what's called fixable do. They do what's called fixed do. Okay? And so what that means is do is always C. So if you're That's great if you're doing do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, da, 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 da. But in Europe, Europe and America, that would be the same, right there. C scale would be do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. And I don't know solfege, so don't like. But it's funny because when you do sharps, so do, re, mi, fa, in Europe, they have different words for them. They have different words for every. So this is do. I think C sharp is like do, D, do, D, do, D. I forget how they do it. So do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. It would be re, mi, fi. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, di, re. You know, they have different names for all the notes. Okay. So a lot more confusing, right? However, in Europe, they have a much higher rate of perfect pitch. And it's because you say someone sing do or sing C, they'll immediately in Europe, not everybody, but when I say a higher rate of perfect pitch, it may be 1% of the population, whereas in the U.S. it's 1/10 or 1/10 of 1% of the population, or far less than that. There are a lot of people who probably would have perfect pitch if they knew anything about music. I think my pastor actually, he has perfect pitch, but he can't really sing. It's funny. I'll explain that in a second. But do. So if you said to someone in Europe, say, I'll sing a C note, they would go do. If you said that to someone in the U.S., they wouldn't have a reference. It's interesting. So they do have a higher rate. La ti da. But it's funny because the reason I say my pastor, because I remember one time, when I was leading worship, we did we were doing I forget what song it was, but we were doing an invitation at the end of the sermon. The pastor would ask the band to come up, and he would during the prayer, and then he would pray, and I would when I was leading worship, I would like underscore, right? So so I'd be maybe underscoring while he prayed. Right? And so the song was in E flat, so I was capoed at the first fret. But the song at the end of the worship service was in F, and I must have been capoed at the third fret, right? So I pick up my guitar, forget to put my capo down to F, and I start playing, right? And I'm totally oblivious that I'm playing in the wrong key. And I look over at Michiko, and Michiko's got perfect pitch. And she looks at the band and goes, like this. Okay? She goes, points 3 down, no, 1 down, yes. It's like, and the band just knew. And what that means is 3 down is 3 flats, which is the key of E flat. And she's saying, it's not in E flat. And she went, 1 flat is F, it's in F. And the band went, oh, Tom's in the wrong key. Okay. That said, I didn't realize until afterwards. I went, oh, shoot, I was in the wrong key, right? The pastor came up to me afterwards and said, something was weird about that invitation. I'm like, how did you know that? And he goes, it just sounded weird to me. I go, you have perfect pitch. He goes, what do you mean? And I said, the only thing weird about that song is we did it up a whole step from the way we did it the other 4 services. So we had 5 services every weekend. And he was like, really? I said, yeah, I think you've got perfect pitch. He goes, I don't know about that. I'm like, yeah, that's really funny. Mm-hmm. Do a video on playing background music. I'll probably get copyright infringement. Yeah, it's that, Vito. That's a skill. That took a while. Because what's really hard, because I'd be doing this and I'd be talking to the church and saying, hey, we're gonna sing a new song, and I could do it, I could improvise. it's like this crazy left brain thing that I don't know how I got to do it, but I got to do it. Now, what made it a lot easier was being able to sing and play at the same time. So if you can sing and play at the same time, you should be able to talk and play at the same time. But singing and playing, at least you're doing this. You're on the same. You got the same goal here. You want the singing to match the playing. With talking, it could be two totally different end games. So it's definitely a skill. Oh, that's funny. It's actually cooler today. I had to wear a flannel shirt when I went to get my coffee this morning. Boy, yeah, you know what's funny? Avito, that is, so at churches, especially keyboard players, they would always do this. And I just hate it. So Avito, if I were to show, I would have to show you the thing I don't like. There's a couple things. One is, say you're going from the key of A to C, okay? So what you need to know is, what is the 5 chord? Okay, the 5 chord is going to always set you up. And so if you know the 5 chord, that will take you, you can just play the 5 chord, and that will take you that'll lead you to the 1 chord in the new key. So for example, the 5 chord in the key of C is G, and I'm going to make it a G7 to make it even more like tension to want to go to C. Kind of old school sounding, right? Almost more of a gospel. And you got to get the new tempo. Okay, I hate that. Now that is, I always hated that, and we got rid of that at my church. I got rid of it when I started leading worship. I said we won't do that anymore. If the new song's in C, just go. Usually, dominant 7th. Usually, what I do is have, the drummer will play something. There's something that's hanging over. But if a song is in B flat and the next song's in B, you don't really want anything hanging over. And it just sounds like a Barry Manilow song to me. I just don't like it. So what I would do is I would go ahead and end that song. People, they don't need to hear that setup. They don't need a smooth transition from one key to the next. And what you can always do is, if you got a weird change, like a half step, like from B flat to B, just let the drummer take a bar, and then you can pull in. Sometimes it'll. That's really common. Sometimes it'll just be a guitar. Like we did a song, it was an A and an C, and I just waited until I heard the click, and I went, everybody's holding the A chord, and I just went, it's like. It's really. It's not, if you're in a gospel church and doing that, you're probably, people are going to expect to hear that. They might want to hear something. They're going to want to hear some setup chord. But in the contemporary context, I wouldn't necessarily do that. If I don't think there's any problem going from the key of A to the key of C. Now, here's one thing: if you're going to put a transposition in the middle of a song, and you're asking me to play acoustic guitar, don't do a half step modulation. Go ahead and go all the way and do a whole step modulation, because if you're in the key of G and then you go to A flat up a half step, then that means I got to go from using really nice ringy, beautiful open G chords to using whatever. What did I do? Not going to be happy. But if you go up a whole step, then I can go. That makes sense. So if you're going to do a modulation in a song and you got a guitar player in the band, go ahead and just make it a whole step instead of a half step. And that's especially true. Like if you're in B flat, you're going to go to C. Then if you're in B flat, you're going to go to C. Then I'm probably going to be capoed at the 3rd fret, right? So I'm going to be playing in G and go to A. So it's the same exact. Right? Let's see. So, oh, is it buffering? I'm sorry, I didn't even notice. Went from AC last week into furnace this week. Yeah, it's getting cold. It's going to be in the 70s the rest of this week, which is lovely. I love not having our AC on. I can't wait for the rain to start showing up so I can turn off our sprinklers. Because that's really the big one. That's the big bill every month is the water bill here in Los Angeles. So they're trying to get everybody to do desert growth stuff, and I like grass. You know, I've never owned a house. I always wanted grass, so we got a bit of grass. Okay, so let's see. The 5 and the 5 and the 5 and the 5. Exactly, exactly. Our house is second of a block of 5 houses, and the temp is pretty stable. Oh, nice. Denison, not flat, hard to cycle. I love visits at Den Haag. Yes, I love the Haag and Amsterdam. We had a great time. I loved it. We have some dear friends who live in The Hague, and they're both both attorneys for the government. So hit that like button. Thank you, Bruce. Yeah, I wish I knew about Duolingo, because I would have done like Duolingo for like 3 months before going to Holland. I think I would have had a little bit more enjoyable language experience. But in both in Amsterdam, everybody pretty much spoke English. I hate to depend on that, but in the big cities, you can pretty much. Peroni, let's see. You ask, how do you speed up improve? Switching to C-shaped chords. C-shaped chords, the C chord or the C-shaped. I don't really. I mean, here's an interesting thing. Okay, it's interesting to me anyway. I was watching a video of the Beatles playing, and John Lennon was playing, and I think the song was in A, and he went to a D chord. He played it like this, and I thought, what? I've never noticed him doing that before. And I thought, that actually is a great sounding D chord. It sounds like a C chord. So I would just practice, Peroni. I would just say, if you have a chord that you're trying to get to. Now, the C shapes, like as far as the cage thing, this is not a very common chord. I mean, I used it, like sometimes in a solo context. I'll sometimes use, like the sound of that, or I might use the top bit of it for a little rhythm thing. So as a rhythm chord, it does come in handy. Not as handy as say the bar chord, the E form, but what I would do is I would just practice going to that chord, like this chord here, the D chord. So what I'm doing there is basically playing X. We're losing viewers, probably because of the buffering. X, 5, 3, X. And this is, we call this a Lennon D. It's fascinating. But he went to it without, he's singing and not even looking. He just went right to it. So just practice playing that, and go to E. And you can also go like this to E. And the great thing about that is if you play that, you can play all the outside strings is open. And you notice, I hit that low E on the downbeat to give me a second to get there, right? Now, if you hit the open E string, that's going to be a D2 chord, which is, oh man, I just froze in my own app. That's weird. Yeah, so whatever note this is, the pinky, that's the key. That's the chord. That's a D note, this is a D chord. I'm sorry. I'm just reading. I'm just just riffing and reading comments here. Okay, I'm posting the Discord link. Show Peroni bouncing. What's bouncing? I don't know what bouncing is. You're saying I'm doing. Maybe it's something I'm doing, but I don't know what that jargon for it. So this company, Muzerk are Muzerks, in my opinion. And then the other one was a different company, and I'm going to look them up too. But I am not happy about their copyright claims. It's ridiculous. Okay, so I'm going to the Discord. Here, hold on. Post, and I'm going to click on make this link permanent, or make this link, what is it? Set this link to never expire. Copy. Okay. So here's the Discord. Let's see. Let's see, Dennis. Make chord shapes on and off your fretboard without strumming. I'm not sure. This thing? Doing the shapes on your hand like this? Is that what you're talking about? Yeah, I mean, you don't need to strum necessarily, but Peroni or Dennis, you may be talking about. I think. So here's the thing, Peroni. I don't know if this is what Dennis is referring to, but so often we're playing a song. Let's say that the song is A, D, F sharp minor to E. Okay, and you're good. It's like 2 bars of each. You're good going A to D. But you're struggling getting to the F sharp minor. Okay. And if it's 2 bars of each chord, you're wasting so much time playing stuff you already know. So what I suggest is if you've got a chord you're struggling with, in this case it's the F sharp minor, play F sharp minor, play one of the other chords, A, and then play F sharp minor, and 1 strum of each, D, and F sharp minor, and E. And F sharp minor, and you can go to C. Just any chord. F sharp minor, just B. That's a hard one too, but F sharp minor to D. F sharp minor to A minor. F sharp minor to B minor. It would be a common change. F sharp minor to E. Practice is back and forth through one strum of each chord, and make sure that every other chord is the chord you're struggling with. And that just maximizes your time. That's just, for me, it's like, hey, I've got limited time left on this earth. So I probably want to maximize my practice time if I'm working on something, and that's exactly what I'm working on. That Eddie Van Halen lick that I got to do next on Friday in the studio, and it was like I can do the first couple parts of the lick. You know, it was like that was where I was having trouble. Oops. So I need to practice. It's just not, my hand doesn't want to do it. Doesn't want to go, it wants to play open. So what I may do is in this session, I may get all the way to that moment and then punch in that one lick, this lick here, because I can do it. I can do it like that. So again, that's just one of those things where I, oh, Nate Franco, I'll tell you what, I went to Guitar Center yesterday and they had no guitars, and I was like, are you guys going bankrupt? And they go, no, we can't keep guitars in stock. People are taking up guitar like crazy. And it's like, I probably should start teaching private lessons again. But I don't think I can get what I want to get paid to do it, so I probably won't. Still better for me to work on the music thing. Anyway, Keep placing your fingers on your lap to your fretboard. Go with that. I don't. So yeah, I guess what I was talking about probably wasn't what Dennis was talking about. Sounds like Dennis, you're talking about like take your and that is one thing too. Is like take your hand off, go like this, make the chord again. Take your hand off, go like this, make the chord again. Take your hand off, go like this. Is that what you're calling bouncing? And I may have called it that. I don't know, but I don't think so. So that way you kind of and the other thing is you can notice when you're playing like A to D. Notice the paths that each finger is taking. You want them to all move at the same time. Like I said, I had that one student that he took lessons for years, and I swear to God, he only wanted to give me the money. He just felt bad for me. He was an engineer and made a lot of money, so it wasn't like money was a thing for him. And he liked the time that we spent, but he wanted, he would literally, like going from the A chord to the D chord, he would just like, it was a turtle. One finger at a time, and I'd be like, no, move them all at the same time. And I know that's hard the first week, second week, third week, fourth week, but by the third year of guitar playing, if you can't get that down, you should be taking. I told him you should probably think of something, taking up something else. Oh no, I like playing guitar. So, but you just have, eventually the goal is to move them all at once, and you can have a plan. Some changes, like if I'm playing A this way with my these three fingers, my second, third, and fourth finger, then going to E is pretty easy. I'm just going to move my second and third finger up a string, add my first finger, take off my pinky. Okay. Oh, okay, good. I got it right, Dennis. Thanks. I wasn't sure what you meant by bouncing. Okay. So let's see. Ultimately, your goal is to place all the fingers at the same time, rather than one at a time. So ultimately, you got to do it. It's got to happen that way. So when you're soloing, it's one note at a time. But when you're playing chords, rhythm, you got to kind of get all the chords down at the same time. It takes a while. The nice thing about guitar is once you learn the F bar chord, it's movable. So you've technically learned 12 chords by learning one chord. It's not true on piano. On piano, you learn the F chord, and F sharp is totally different. You got to learn that's, But piano definitely has its advantages in many other ways. Let's see. Excuse me. So I got the Discord link, right? I did post that, right? Yeah, I did. Okay. So that's the Discord link. That shouldn't expire. I'm going to take off. I got a session today. I got more prep work. I may have to go get a COVID test. I'm not sick. This video company that's coming to film this session, which is kind of silly. It's not going to be very exciting. They insisted that everybody, and they're hired, they're coming in from the outside, and they insist everybody have a COVID test. And I was like, A, I don't have time, and B, the results wouldn't come in time probably, unless I got an instant one, and I'm not going to, where am I going to go to get an instant one? So, and I've got work to do. So I told them, nah, they can get someone else. And they were like, oh, no, we'll just put you in an ISO booth or something. I'm like, okay, fine. So, it's like they kind of need me, and I'm just like, yeah. I mean, I could be doing something else that day, but no problem. I mean, I like the composer, I like working for him, but it's just sometimes it was a weird ask to come at 10 o'clock at night, a couple days before the sessions. All right. I am going to, you guys can continue some of this discussion on the guitar stuff, because I'm not an expert on that, so I'm glad you're not asking me on the guitar fretting and setups and all that stuff. Continue some of that on Discord. I've got to take off, but I will hopefully be here Friday, maybe for an hour. The Friday is that day of that session. I may have some work to do, and I got to, may have to do some restringing and things like that, so I'm not sure, or I may have to get a COVID test. I don't know. Anyway, I will talk to you guys later. I hope you're doing well, and Stay safe. Don't get COVID. Or get it and get it over with. I think I already had it. I've never had the antibody test, but I think I already had it. Also, we were with a lady last night. She was 93 years old, and she had it. And they did the test, and she had the antibodies. In fact, she had more antibodies in her system than anyone they'd ever tested before. And the doctor took a picture of her test, and she had A negative blood or O negative blood, and they said, "Yeah, you are like perfect person for it." She had a headache for 2 days, a mild headache for 2 days. That was her COVID experience. She's a 93-year-old lady. So, not to saying it's not dangerous and you can't die from it. I'm not saying that at all. I actually, in fact, that same lady, that her son-in-law died of it. That 93-year-old lady, her son-in-law died of it. He was a smoker, and he went to the doctor way too late. He was in Manhattan, and he just was like, "No, I'll be fine. And then they got to the hospital, and they had to intubate him, and he died. So, anyway, take care. Late to the party, Whitson. Good to see you. Hopefully you can watch this later. I'm trying to get rid of all the ads. Actually, I'll monetize this one, but I'll go back and get rid of the ads on this one, okay? Hopefully they didn't get a stupid copyright infraction or something, okay? God bless you, everyone. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.